9.5
9 months.
9.5 months.
And
she's probably a little bit behind where she should be, but I'm real happy with where she's at. I'm just getting ready to get a shock collar and do force fetch.
Oh yeah. No, I wasn't on track with what they wanted. I mean, I'm on my own track, you know.
Yeah. Well, with work and videos and hunting and everything, it's hard to really progress during hunting season. But now that it's over, she's moving pretty fast. And I've got my summer off, so I feel fully confident, especially with how she's doing right now. I feel fully confident that she's going to be ready to go.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be incredible.
I'm pretty excited.
Awesome.
I can't wait to see it. All
right, we are live for the podcast. We got Zach in the chat. How you doing, Zach? And Tim Cochran, High Prairie Sportsman, Mid-Valley Mercenary. We got the whole gang of YouTube people in here, so good stuff. Let it get rolling for a second. How's everybody doing? What's up, Dylan? Yo.
I'm going to share this.
Glad to see everybody jumping in here. What's up, Jim? How's it going? Today we got Mid-Valley Mercenaries on, Titus. It's going to be a good one, so stay tuned. Get this rolling, then we'll jump right into the recording. What'd you say, Titus?
So looking forward to it.
Awesome. It's been a while. It's good. It'll be good to catch up. I guess we did a podcast over on your end too. So.
Yep.
Yeah, I listened to that one recently. Then I saw that you were supposed to be on another podcast, Jordan. Were you ever on that? I don't know which one it was. Were you ever on another one?
Yeah, I was on it. It was the Hoosier Outdoor podcast.
When was that?
Not too long ago. It was just a couple of weeks ago, maybe.
Sweet. Cool.
Yep, representing the good old Hoosier State. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead, and you guys both ready to start recording?
Yep.
Alrighty. What's going on, folks? Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Duck Gun Podcast. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, your host, and we got Elliot Graybeard, the grayest of grays, alongside me per usual tonight, rocking the co-host seat, and our guest for tonight is Titus from Mid-Valley Mercenaries. How you doing tonight, Titus?
What's up, guys? Doing good.
Awesome. So this is, I guess, kind of a mini Flyways Collective collab. Having you on the podcast here tonight, so definitely going to be a good one. But how's your season been, man?
It's been good. Yeah, I mean, it was a great season. I feel like I'm safe to say it's probably been the best season I've ever had, and not just for hunting purposes, but the people that I've met, the places that I've went, you know, everything I've got to do. And this year was definitely better than the year before. So the whole combination of it's just been a awesome year for memories.
Awesome, and definitely can't ask for more than that when it comes to duck hunting. It's definitely nice to, rack up some hunts with some really good numbers. But at the end of the day, all that kind of means nothing if you're not out there making memories and hanging out with people that you enjoy being with and hunting with.
Yep.
But yeah, so. With your season being like that and all that, one of the highlights of your season had to be your trip out to Washington.
Oh man, I don't know how much you want me to dive in that, but that was really cool, man. It was a freelance duck hunt, and we went out there. We had a little bit of direction from a gentleman named Jacob. He was a great help, and actually I've seen him wearing Elliot's hat, one of his old school hats. So he's a supporter your channel, Elliot, and
Sweet.
he watched our channel, and we ended up exchanging numbers, and he helped us out. And actually, Alex Langdall really helped us, pointed us around. And man alive, we had a blast. And what's crazy is they were telling me that wasn't even their best time. Like, they weren't even doing the greatest as they normally do. And in my mind, I'm like, holy cow, if your worst is this good, I can't imagine what your good's like.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think I've seen that guy on Instagram as well. And if I remember right, I mean, it's like every single one of his pictures is like just limit after limit of just stacks of mallards.
It's ridiculous. Should be illegal.
It's like, and I was looking at the states because every once in a while I like to get on the Real Tree website and look at like the numbers so I can have my own pity party about how poor like the Mississippi Flyway does in some of the states, and I look over then in like Washington, it's like the average number of birds per hunter over there is like, I mean, it's one of the top in the country, and I believe it peaks over 20 birds per hunter.
Wow.
Which
do you have that list, Jordan? I would love. I know Kansas is 5.
Really? No, Kansas was higher on that list unless they're calculating a different way. But that's the one that Realtree puts together, and I believe they get all the data from Fish and Wildlife Services. But yeah, something like, I mean, with Washington, I think it was close to like 21, 22 birds per hunter, which is just insane. So.
Because I'm sorry. The average in Kansas was 5 hunts per hunter.
Okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah.
I was thinking wrong.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, yeah, let's go ahead and dive into that a little bit. I'd love to hear more about it and kind of your experience getting out there and hunting the freelance and all that goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know how much you want to dig into it, but it was me, myself, and Travis, Thomas, my brother, and Talon, and then one of the younger guys, Colton, went with us just for a couple of days. He didn't get to spend the whole trip because of college, but we made the old road trip on. I felt like I was pretty confident going into it, But when we first got there, we scouted the area that we were originally pointed to, and I can't lie. The first 24 hours, we were a little nervous. We were scratching our heads. We're like, "Where's all the birds at?" We drove this whole way. We all took work off. We're just starting to like, okay, well, let's not panic here. We're as far north as you can go pretty much before Canada, so there's got to be birds here somewhere. And anyways, got a few more directions and places to go look, and we're looking at maps. And that was the one of the things that, you know what, I know what you do when you go out of state, but to put it in action was a different beast. And so we're going through maps and we're pulling up every reg and double checking, okay, if we hunt here, this is what we can shoot, this is what we can't shoot, this is the days we can hunt, this is the days we can't hunt. I mean, a lot of research, and because you want to make sure you don't do something you're not supposed to do or shoot something, or, for instance, one thing is like you couldn't, at this one refuge, you could not hunt honkers on this specific day, but you can hunt them on this day, but you can hunt 7 days a week. So, I mean, little things like that, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble if you're not paying attention to the regs. So that was one thing. We really, really made sure we read everything upside down one the other. Even met some game wardens, and they were super nice, and they pointed us around. We whipped out. They were young guys, and they were super cool. We just handed them our license right away, asked where we were from, said California, and we said, hey, just double check. We're looking at the maps, but can we hunt all this area? And, oh, yeah, you can hunt all that. And they were hunters too, and what happened was after that first day, and of course this isn't all in the videos, but that first day, like I said, we were a little panicked, and we're scouting around, we're driving, we're putting a ton of miles on, and I'm driving up kind of out of the spot, and I look over to my left. I'm the one driving, and I look over and I see coot, and I see what I think is like 300 coots, and I'm like, and I slam on the brakes just because I'm seeing movement, like, okay, what is this? And they were probably 250 yards away, maybe 300. I go, give me the binoculars. I go, I just want to double check. So I look through, and it's all mallards. And I start freaking out because we haven't seen nothing really yet. I go, mallards, mallards. I'm like, you're lying. You know, everybody's all freaking out. We're like kind of getting pumped up. And I go flying back down the hill. We open the map again, you know, to make sure can we hunt in this area. Sure enough, good to go. And anyways, this is the first hunt. Okay, so this is in the afternoon, and I would say it's about 12 o'clock. So we've been there for over 24 hours. We're finally getting the guns out, and we run down there, and we get every single one of our decoys. And what's funny is I think we had over 100 with us. We guesstimated 100 birds down there. Well, we put all our decoys out, 100 decoys, and we looked at it and we thought, we don't have any decoys. You know, like, however, this don't even match what the birds were, because obviously we flushed them up, but we figured they'd come back. And we're looking at the pile and we're like, dude, we need like, there must have been 500 birds here, not 100 birds. So we stick all our decoys out. We get up in the brush on the bank, and sure enough, 30 minutes later, I mean, just come in, nothing insane or nothing crazy, but they start coming in, and our spirits just went through the roof, man. Like, we went from depressed and scared, driving 700 miles, to just having the time of our lives. And really, we only shot about, between 5 of us, I think we only shot 17, 18 birds. And but after that, man, it was just like our spirits soared, and we started figuring it out. And then the next day were just insane, epic hunts. I mean, every day has a crazy story, but it was just from that point on, we started getting, you know, just in them thick, and it was just a blast.
Awesome.
We've talked a lot this year about expectations and how your emotions play into how much you enjoy a hunt. You know, I mean, if you're expecting a limit, like that first hunt at Kansas, you know, you and Jordan and I hunted together. We were just expecting limits. We were passing on hens. And by the end of the day, all told, you know, quite a few birds were shot once we moved over with the other guys and everything. But our expectations were so high that we were all bummed out. Where you guys have done like that, where you're feeling kind of depressed and you stumble on a decent hunt, and it's just like you just won the Super Bowl, you know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's hard to, when you have emotions involved like that, because if you're any bit passionate about duck hunting, there is major emotions involved, and it's super highs and super lows, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we say we know how to handle that, but when it push comes to shove, it's kind of hard to, like, control those emotions, you know?
I mean, you wouldn't plan like a big out-of-state trip going all the way up there to the top of the border if you didn't think you were going to just have an awesome hunt. So you already have those expectations, and so it's definitely, you know, a tough one. But I mean, in the end, you guys had it anyway, so you have to watch out for that next time. But again, it seems like Washington's so good that you might just be able to live on those type of expectations up there.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have to be careful.
So here's an idea for you. You know how I did the Chasing the Opener and I went up to Michigan?
Yes.
I wonder if you can do something like that through Washington.
That would be fun. I don't know. You know, I didn't look much into their goose stuff, but supposedly from what I hear, they have some awesome, you know, honker hunting too. So that'd be something that I need to look into and look at the dates on that too. But it's just nice. What I like about there is the fact that it is farthest north before Canada, and you can kind of do like you did, Jordan. You're kind of chasing the migration, so to speak, because they get good in the time that ours is really bad, you know. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if their zones are split up, kind of how Indiana is and Michigan is north, central, and south. And if you have zones split up like that, you know, in their northern part, it probably opens up, you know, a few weeks earlier than your California duck season. And I don't know how it is in California on the Pacific Coast, but it seems like openers, there's always a lot of birds around. You got to fight the people, but there's always a lot of birds. So
yeah, it's like that here too. The first week's good.
Awesome.
So how far away is that from you?
Kind of where we were at was about 700 miles, give or take 700 miles. So I mean, it's a little jaunt. I think we did it in, I don't know, the drive in like 11 hours or something like that. So I mean, in my opinion, that's not that bad. Like you have birds, I'm down. You know, I can drive that easy.
That's how far it is for me to drive to Elliott.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We what we did is we waited till, because I was off Friday, so we waited for Thomas and Travis to get off of work, and that was like 5 o'clock. We ended up leaving like 5:30. Drove all night and tried to sleep a couple hours that first morning because we knew the morning hunt was kind of over and we were just going to scout the rest of the day, but we couldn't sleep. You know how that is. It was like we lay there for 30 minutes. We're all like, forget this. We went and ate breakfast and started scouting.
Well,
and more people are talking about Washington every single year. And if you guys are listening, I want to make sure you know this is Titus from Mid Valley Mercenaries YouTube channel, also MVM podcast. What do you think after being up there? What is the terrain like? I've seen some of your videos up there, but what is the terrain like in Washington, and what makes it such a good duck destination?
You know, the terrain is not what I guess let me rephrase that. I was expecting the terrain to be where we're at, because when, like, different parts, you know, you got Eastern Washington, Central, and then Western. Well, Central is more, from what I've noticed, a lot of, well, you're on the Columbia River, you know, the Snake River, all that stuff. But I noticed it's like high desert. It's really weird because you're thinking mallards. Why in the world are the mallards? But I mean, you got the river system. So I mean, the birds are just, they loaf out there. It's really weird. You know, they'll be out in the middle of the river and they're loafing out there by the thousands. I mean, they're rafting up what you would think as sea ducks. I mean, unbelievable. I've never seen so many mallards raft up, because, you know, you think of raft as sea ducks, but they'll raft out there in the middle and then they'll come towards the bank, you know, in the morning and the afternoon, and they'll loaf right there, but and feed, actually, I should say. But now Western Washington, from all those, and we ended up not going over there. We were going to do some sea duck stuff and kind of target widgeon. But what happened was, at that time, like I was saying, those guys over on Western side, it just wasn't, the birds weren't there at the time. So we never made that trip over because it was going to be another 3-4 hours, and we already found birds. We weren't willing at the time to sacrifice good hunt for something supposedly that wasn't good. But the west side, it was just like gorgeous, like probably the most beautiful duck hunting you can probably ever do. I mean, big pine trees, grassy meadows, little ponds. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful country, like mountainous country. So we were really wanting to hunt that, and I think that's what Thomas and Travis had in mind, thinking. I showed them pictures of that, and I think that's what they anticipated hunting. But we ended up hunting more of the river stuff you'll see in the videos.
So, do you have any plan to move there ever?
I can't lie, man. Every time I leave California, I'm always like, I'm out of this place, you know. But it's just, I was looking at, you know, the regs with buying guns, because, you know, here you got to wait 10 days, and then they've taken all the lead out, even for doves and pheasants. And it's just getting worse and worse. But I was like, you know what, I could totally move there. And my wife was giving me a hard time. She's all, you just want to move there because the duck hunting's good. But even the elk hunting, they have mule deer and whitetail. I mean, there's a lot of options there. But I can't lie, guys. Let's not pick on Washington here. I think Elliott's trying to keep Kansas under wraps here. I can see right through this. I really thought long and hard about moving over there where old Golden Boy is. I can't lie, man. I was like, that's where I need to move, man.
Oh, man, I'll tell you, I would be all for you moving to Kansas. I need more guys like you around to hunt with, honestly. That would be great. I wish I could move there, too. I was talking to Jordan and I were just having that conversation a couple nights ago on the phone about moving and uprooting your family and whether it's worth it, and, you know, especially when you have kids involved and grandparents and relatives, and man, I'm 3 hours off where I wish I lived, but that's not that bad.
Yeah, you can still do a weekend trip pretty easy.
Yeah.
How far? I better not ask that. I was gonna say, I'm just curious if it's a pretty long drive or you can do it in the afternoon.
For me,
Yeah.
well, it's 3.5 hours to those areas, and so we did one overnight where we just got up at and drove out and drove back the same day. That's a little bit tough because the drive back is you're just so tired and it becomes dangerous. But we do some one-nighters where you just run out, throw up a tent, and come back the next day. But it's in the zone that we can do it.
Yeah.
It's not every weekend, It's not.
Gotcha. Right. Oh yeah, that just wears you out too much.
But we can, and we did that this year because the hunting on my side of the state was so poor that we definitely did that 2 or 3 times. Just unexpected trips were running out there,
Mhm. And you guys had a really good season the year before, right? Weren't you saying that was one of your best?
Yes, the last 3 seasons have been the best 3 seasons of my life. But last season was by far the best. This season ended up being pretty good. It was short on mallards until we got into them towards the end of in January, and that was the only thing that was lacking. Had a really good season, just kind of didn't shoot the mallard numbers that I liked, but made up for it at the end of the year. So yeah, the last 3 seasons have been fantastic.
You guys had some epic hunts, Elliot, on that last. Well, you guys both. You were getting in the honkers, Jordan and Elliot. You were slaying the mallards.
Yeah, that was the best hunt weekend, total back-to-back hunts that I can remember. Honestly, it was fantastic.
Man, that's kind of interesting though, Elliot. You kind of saying you didn't shoot very many mallards this year. I was looking at. I actually just recently filmed like my end of the season video and looking at the data from last year and this year, and I didn't shoot very many more, even though I more than doubled the number of birds I shot. I barely shot any more mallards. It was like 6 or 7 more, so it was kind of weird on that. So, do you keep track of your numbers, Titus, from season to season?
Yes, Elliot hooked me up with a great site, Elliot Freelance Hunt Stats, and I used it all season long, and I love it. And I put it in a couple of videos too, trying to let people know about it. I don't know if that brought traffic or not, but you never know with those kind of things. But I really, really liked it, and I don't know how much I think Thomas was using it too, and I really liked that. I'd have to pull it up right now with my phone. I could tell you exactly.
Yeah, I was just curious if your mallard numbers, how they compared from season to season.
It was better this year because of Washington.
Oh, yeah.
So that definitely helped us out. And then going to Kansas stuff, which even though it wasn't like shooting limits, but it still added into the bunch,
Yeah, I kind of forgot, you guys shoot a big variety. I don't know what I was thinking on that. And so, where Kansas and Indiana are more, I guess, considered largely to get more mallards than anything else.
Right. Yeah.
So, kind of a side note on this, something I was thinking about when you're talking about California and all that, but did anything on the ammo laws get resolved, or is it still having the background checks and everything like that?
No, I would say, as far as I know and have looked into, nothing's gotten better. I don't want to say it's gotten worse because I don't want to sound negative, but it's definitely not getting better. And we just kind of did an update podcast on that. I think it was episode 50. But it's because what it is now, it's been, let's see here, it's been 6 months since July 1st, whatever that is. I gotta use my fingers and toes to figure that out. But anyways, we've seen the effects of it now, and it was, to me, in my opinion, was worse than I thought it would be. I mean, I knew it wasn't a good thing, but a lot of people I know that are, for instance, there was a 80-year-old gentleman in there, been shooting guns and buying ammo for his whole life since he was a little kid, and he was livid. He went in there, and they would not let him buy ammo because he had everything he needed, but he wasn't passing that eligibility check. And there was nothing on his record, nothing. He didn't do anything. He didn't have any, nothing. And that poor guy, he was livid. He was ripping that worker out one side down the other. And really, it's not that guy's fault, but You got to take it out on somebody. And I wouldn't be surprised if that guy went home and packed his bags and left California right then. Because, I just can't imagine being 80 years old, hunting my whole life, and then seeing something like that where you can't even buy a box of 22 shells.
Well, can you imagine the week before hunting season, and you go in to get your ammo, and they're just like, actually, we just can't sell you any at all,
Right.
And being as avid of a hunter you are, I'm sure you'd probably pack up your bags or make plans to do that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about it.
Well, it'd give you your excuse to get up there to Kansas or Washington. So
True.
Silver lining, right?
Yeah, except my wife said, "Don't even think about moving us just because the hunting's there."
Well, if you move her to where we were at the Flyways Collective, I think that she's going to realize it's for the hunting because there's not much out there.
Well, you know what? Believe it or not, I think when she was 13, she lived in Missouri for about 5 or 6 years. So she never supposedly she says she never wanted to leave there. Now, no offense to anybody, I'm not a huge Missouri fan. I've been there a few times, and it's pretty and everything, but it's probably just because of duck hunting, which I know they have good duck hunting too, so that's kind of unfair to say, I guess. But I just have my place. I'm kind of a mountain guy. Like, if I had to pick, I'd want to pick like Idaho or Montana. But boy, you start bringing a lot of mallards in. Kansas and Washington sound pretty sweet.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of different states, I know you've traveled to Nebraska, Kansas, Washington. I would love to hear you talk about what are the similarities between the three states. And I know you're in Nebraska in teal season, so in Kansas more mid-season and Washington late. But what are the similarities between the three states, and then maybe the differences that stuck out in your mind?
And real quick before you answer that, so I know kind of probably what Elliot's kind of leading in on this. And so we've had this conversation before, and he thinks that there's no place better in the world than Kansas for duck hunting. And
that's not true. He's always saying stuff like it's true.
He's always picking on you. Hey, Matt from Hyperia Sportsman was picking on you too in our podcast. He was talking about how much you love full choke.
Yeah.
Have you seen? There's been some infographics going around too, talking about it, but that's neither here nor there. But
full choke is way too wide open of a choke for me.
So Elliot, before he answers that question, then, so I guess I did think I wasn't even pulling your chain on that one, but I thought you had said at some point that there's no place in the world that you'd that's better for duck hunting than Kansas. And what was the statement on that? Yeah, what was the statement you had on that? It was something similar to that.
I don't recall saying that. I know I know why I love it, and I can tell you why it's so good, but it's hard for me to compare it to other states because I've never been there. But I can certainly make a case as to why it's really, really good, but I don't recall ever saying it's the best place in the country or anything like that. Because, like Washington, I've never been to those places, so I don't know.
Maybe you said there's no place you'd rather hunt in the world than...
There's certainly no place I would not move. If there was one place I would move out of Kansas to, it would be upper Nebraska, but that would be number 2. But, yeah, if I had my pick to where I would move to and permanently hunt of any place in the world, it would be to where we were at Flyways Collective.
Do you want to say the actual town or anything so people can
Nope,
look it up?
I would rather not. But
all right,
I don't think there's no other place I know of that I've ever seen that's as good as that area.
Okay. So I got it a little bit wrong, but yeah. So what you meant to say is that's the best place in the world to hunt. Got it. So Titus, can you go ahead and answer the question?
Okay, now remind me again, what 3 states?
Nebraska, Washington, and Kansas. I'm not looking for you to order them like which you think were best, but just the differences of the areas. What's similar about the 3 areas, and what struck you as different about the hunting environments or the people or anything?
Can't we get a top? I want to hear the ratings.
Well, he can unless he wants to.
All right.
It's hard for him to compare. He's in Nebraska. He's teal in Nebraska.
I think
he's kind of early on the mallard migration in Kansas, so it'd be hard for them to compare it.
I think you're just scared you're going to get a 3.
I don't care what I get. It doesn't matter to me what it says.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Well, you might have to remind me how halfway through what the question was because I'm good at starting to go off on a rabbit trail and then forget where I was going with that. But
comparing the three states as far as duck hunting in your experience.
Okay. Similarities. You guys are just gonna love to hear this. I know it's just gonna toot your guys' horn, but the birds landing the decoy. It's unbelievable. You can work birds in Washington, Nebraska, and Kansas. California, I can't stress enough. In fact, I'll just be honest with you guys. I told Jordan this. I'm going to be open in front of all of you guys, everybody listening to this podcast, and you too. I don't want Elliot to come to California. I do not want you to come out here because you would not be happy hunting on these refuges. I'm not. Now, if you want to experience it, just experience it. That's fine. And my door is always open to everybody. But I was telling Jordan the other day, I said, Elliot would not be happy out here. And I don't blame him one bit because seeing what I see in these other states, it's just not, you are not going to take it. You need a full choke here. I don't shoot full. I do now, actually. I switched into the season. And I actually liked it. I don't know how that will go when birds are real tight. I don't know if I'll still do the same thing. But, it's like, and I'm not putting a full end to, so I can shoot birds at 6 yards. I still like 40 or less. But it's just when you're mainly pass hunting. And those three states, you can get birds to come in. The competition is different. It's not that you guys have less competition in those three states. It's different, if that makes any sense, And I've seen it firsthand with you guys, Elliot, there in Kansas, and all the Flywoods Collective. There's still guys in boats. There's still guys hunting. There's still guys, that one day, Elliot, remember the first time, me, you, and Jordan, perfect prime example. Those guys come busting in, and then way late, it's already, the sun's already coming up, kind of, mess our hunt up. I truly believe, I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel that those birds that they were shooting, a lot of them would have been coming in our spread. That's how I feel. Yeah. Because if there's no other decoys or no other birds over there, they're always going to come to us or to, Golden Boy and my brother and all those guys. So that was the similarities I see between those is that you can work birds, you can call, and the competition is different. It's on all those three, it's the same in the difference it is from California, if that makes sense. I'm trying to think of some more similarities. It's, I guess if you were a resident too, the price of hunting is more fair, it's funny because I believe, if I remember right, the non-resident, when I went to those three states, was the same as my resident, which is insane,
Wait,
but
how much is your resident license?
For here?
Yeah.
What part of it? So you gotta get your resident. And I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of what it is. It's like $50. It's not that part of it. It's all the things that you got to get with it to hunt the California refuges. You know what I'm saying? You got to buy a pass every time you go hunt. And it's not like some of these states I know that have this stuff, where you got to go in on a place and put in for it. That is our main hunting places. We have a ton of those, and there's a lot of public land. But being that there is a lot of public land, it only allows so many people on at a time, and unless you hunt the delta or the river systems, let's just put it this way: that's your main hunting is being done on those refuges for most people. So those would be the things I'm saying are the same. I don't know. Is that answering the question for that part, Elliot?
Yeah, that does. Talk a little bit about the environment, the atmosphere of the surroundings and the landscape.
As far as when you're out in the blind hunting,
or like
just the landscape,
are you hunting marshes?
How it feels.
Okay.
I assume that Washington would be the prettiest of the three if you've got mountains around.
Well, and that's the thing is, like I said, where we were hunting was more flatland, high desert. So really, visually, it wasn't pretty just to some normal person. Now, when you got mallards coming in, it was the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. But now that's where they were different, okay? Because we were hunting. We were doing something we never done. We were sitting on the side of the bank up in the brush. Well, I guess taking that back. We did do that with you guys in Kansas, but something I noticed, we were up on the bank. We were brushed up. We were making kind of blinds. And what was weird to me was, take the river. It's at some parts where we were hunting, it's a mile, 2 miles across. Like huge. Like even if we were in a little bay, it'd be more. And we just thought that was just crazy that the birds were coming in like that to feed or to loaf, whatever, right on the bank like that. I thought that was just crazy, that they were doing that. Whereas, with you guys in Kansas, we might be on just a little, I guess I'd call it a channel. I don't know what you guys call it. I know it's probably a river too, but it was, then you guys got your trees and your bushes and shrubs and stuff like that you can get hidden in. Like we were hunting that one day, sitting under the tree. I thought that was just super cool. Like to me, hunting off the bank is really cool. I really like that.
Yeah.
And in Nebraska, and I don't, I've watched obviously pretty much all Matt's videos too, and it was more. I'm on the spot here because I know everybody's listening. I don't want to say it wrong, the wrong terminology for the state, but we did hunt that flooded corn, which from what Matt was telling me, that's not a normal thing. That's not like he did that all the time in years past. And I just love that. Like hunting in corn, flooded corn, that was unbelievable. It was just, I don't know, it seemed easier to hide. You got that same corn, you can see the ducks through it good, but they just don't seem to see you as good. It was just kind of a neat little deal. I don't know. I've hunted in so many different environments this year, and then I'm trying to think. One of the other things we did there in Nebraska was kind of like on a little pond, so to speak. I don't know, that's probably not the right term either, but they have a lot of those in Nebraska, and you'll just watch and see where the birds stack up in, and whether it's private and he'll ask permission or it's public, you just go in there and kind of, take a stand-up blind, or maybe you just take a bunch of brush and build up a blind, and I don't know, it was really cool. But those were definitely all, I would say Washington and Kansas were very similar, but Nebraska was kind of its own beast, it seemed like to me.
Interesting.
I know we were close to a place that had flooded corn, and it was actually public ground there in Washington, but we didn't know about it until after we were long gone. So that might be something we're kind of sneaking into next year, but I'm sure it might be kind of heavily populated, Yeah. I don't know if that was the questions you're looking for, or answers.
Absolutely was. Sure, it was. Do you have your hunt trips laid out for next year, or are you still trying to figure those out?
Whoa.
I'm kind
of. We forgot. You gotta you gotta give your three. Your top your order.
Man, that's messed up. You're just trying to make. Okay, Kansas number one. I'm just gonna say that, so you can't get your glory there, Jordan. I know how you work. No, I don't know, man. I had such a great time at all of them. It's really, I just don't feel like it'd be fair to even do that, honestly. I'm just being honest, not.
Don't let Jordan bully you. He's just a bully.
I'm not. He is a bully.
I just want to know. I want to know, between the three, if you had to move, what order you'd pick. Like, let's say that you just had to move
He's not
from California.
Give up.
He's not. Okay, I'll be honest with you. If it wasn't to count in the gun laws and rules, if you're going to start getting that technical, if I was just to say, okay, they're all three, the rules, the regs, everything's the same, I definitely could see myself moving to Washington, because it kind of reminds me of California in the good way, believe it or not. I don't even know how it's possible, but take all the regs, the guns, the laws, the crazy politicians. It feels like it's kind of the same scenario, just without all the stupidness. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just kind of seems like home more, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But from what I was told, they're cracking down, and it floats from here. I guess supposedly everything kind of drags first to Oregon. They hate it's pretty much all Californians now, and I guess it's drifted into Washington too. So I probably wouldn't move there because before long they're going to be just like us, a lot quicker than say Kansas or Nebraska.
Yep.
I'll tell you this, as open as Kansas was, I really loved the openness and how spread out Nebraska was. If you're a person that likes to get away from the crowds, man, that place is the place to go. I'm serious. It was really cool. I really liked how open and spread out it was.
Yeah.
Phenomenal state. Just a phenomenal state.
It is. Or, Matt wouldn't like us saying that. He wants everybody to think it's the most horrible place to live. But
And the other thing about Nebraska is it has some really great opportunities for hunting outside of waterfowl too. Maybe Kansas has that as well, but I think Nebraska is pretty well known for the other types of hunting you can do there.
Yeah, they have monster whitetail, big deer.
Yeah, and something I kind of wanted to hit on that you said earlier, Titus, talking about the similarities and the birds decoying, and but you guys kill so many birds out in California. It feels like it's just crazy because it seems like every video I watch, you guys. It's not every video, but a lot of the videos, you guys have really, really good hunts. Where you guys are limiting out. So it's got to be crazy. You guys got to have a lot of birds if you're not getting the easy kind of floating right into the decoy shots, and you're still able to limit out consistently.
Yeah, it is nice having that variety. It's weird. Every year is so different because this year we had a really, really good hunt, and just me and a junior actually went with me, and we had a really good hunt, and that was 2 weeks after season. It was like first week of November or something like that. But what happened was we had heavy north winds, and I'm telling you, I know that's good everywhere you go. North winds is good, but I've never seen it that good that early. But those north winds usually aren't blowing during that time. So, but really this year, our season didn't get really good until like after Christmas, and then it did seem like we were doing good. Well, yeah, sure, we'll have those random ones that are good just like everybody else, but it seemed like most every time we went out after New Year's was just really good. And it's like, oh man, you're trying to soak in every moment, and I blew it, man. I had an opportunity to shoot 2 Drake cinnamon teal, and I never pulled the trigger because I had already shot 3 green wings, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna hold back and try to get a pintail, maybe a gadwall or whatever, depending on the refuge I'm at. And it was both times it was overcast, and I told myself this year I was not going to do that. I'm like, I'm shooting every teal that comes over because one of those is going to be a cinnamon. And it's overcast, so they're all look black, and it was in the morning, so you really can't tell. And it goes right over my head. Me or my buddy didn't shoot. We look up at it. It goes behind us, and then all of a sudden I seen it, Drake cinnamon, both times. And I was just sick to my stomach because I haven't shot one in 3 years. And, I was pretty bummed, and it actually happened to me twice. Last day of season, beautiful studded out Drake blue wing went right over me. But the way the angle of the light was, I couldn't tell which one was the Drake. And I shot, as soon as it went over it, I shot the dumb hen. And the Drake was on the other side. I was like, oh, you idiot. But if I would have waited and not shot, I wouldn't have been able to have a shot. So,
Yeah. Is that your guys' most rare duck for
blue
California?
wing?
No, the cinnamon.
You know what? Yeah, I would say blue wing and cinnamon are kind of neck and neck. Everybody has their special bird. If you want to get down to it, the refuges we hunt, you never really see canvasback, something like that, or whatever. I could just create a list for you of birds that you're never going to see at this refuge, or you'll never see there. One refuge we hunt a lot. I've hunted my whole life. You will not see a wood duck. And most of the refuges, there's some refuges you will, but pretty much all of them you'll never see one. And someone last year, one of my buddies shot one last year, and out of 20 years of hunting it, that's the first time I've ever seen somebody shoot a wood duck, So it's just random.
So you guys don't get a lot of wood ducks throughout all the refuges, or just like, I mean, how many wood ducks do you shoot a year?
Me? Oh, I don't hardly, unless I go, now if I go to the river, I can shoot quite a bit of wood ducks. Nothing probably like you, Jordan. I know you shoot quite a bit. But for here, I can shoot several wood ducks if I go to the river, which I just don't really do because I do have my kayak. And the water changes heights all the time, and it gets kind of rapid and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I only maybe shot a couple wood ducks this year, but I never targeted them, so I didn't expect to,
Yep. Cool. Yeah, another thing I wanted to hit on is you guys always have a hunt at the end of the season, and it's your youth hunt. So it seems pretty unique. Tell me about that a little bit.
Well, it's the weekend after the obviously regular season, and sorry, my mind went blank there for a second. It's the week after. This year, though, was different because what they did is they changed, instead of saying the last Sunday of the month is the end of the season of January, that's what they've always done for years, they changed it to the last day of the month. So instead of the last Sunday, it was the last day. Well, I think if I remember right, it was a Friday. So between the last hunt day, which would have been a Wednesday, there was like 10 days to where the refuges hadn't been hunted. And so I knew, normally it's 7 days, which is already incredible. So add a 3 more days, and you're just going to have that many more birds migrating and that many more birds getting comfortable. Nobody messing with them, nobody shooting at them. So I was telling all these young guys, I said, if I'm off, I said, I'm going to go, and you guys are going to have an incredible hunt. And, of course, some of the dads were already taking their boys, so there was already guys going without me, but I ended up getting to take a couple guys too, and it's my favorite. It's like one of my favorite things to film. I didn't really feel like I did as good as I could have did because I didn't have the big camera out. Rocky was so busy working, I just did not have time to get it out as much as I would have liked to done. But that hunt, I think there was 13 of us. I've never in my life, and nor do I ever want to hunt with that many people. But I know that on the junior hunt, there are so many birds, and they just are almost dumb, for lack of a better term, because they haven't been hunted in 10 days, and they've gotten comfortable where they're at. Because if you look in the video, you can see that really not everybody's covered up that good. And I'm sure, we would have birds a lot closer landing if we would have. But you know how it gets, man. People get excited, and they just start trampling the tulies and trampling the cover. So it's just like after the first hour, you might as well kiss it goodbye, But the bird, they're still killing birds. And old John Teeney from Whacking and Stacking Outdoors, Cinnamon Still went right over and he just clocked that thing. And I think everybody got their pintails. We shot pintails, a lot of widgeons. There was a lot of widgeons this year on the junior hunt, which was really cool. Nothing wrong with teal, but it was kind of cool to see these young guys and girls get the younger or the widgeons and bigger birds, whatever. And so it was really cool. They had a time. It was a blast. And they were just shooting, and we were trash talking after a while. They were all talking amongst themselves. It was really a lot of fun. And I know for sure out of 6 juniors, I think 2 that hadn't hunted a lot just literally that just ruined them. It ruined them. They're lifers now.
Awesome.
Because they were kind of on the fence of like, it's not that good, I could tell that it wasn't in their blood yet, but that one, oh yeah, that ruined them. I'm telling you, it ruined them. So
you have that one experience of that perfect hunt, man. If that doesn't do it for you, then
I'm still waiting for mine.
You need to go to Kansas, Jordan.
I've tried. I've had some pretty good hunts there for sure.
You just never had one of the real good ones.
I've never got my pintail, and I haven't had the 5 mallard hunt. That's what will take the cake for me if I ever get there. But
mm-hmm.
The flyways hunt, the first hunt on there where we shot I shot 2 redheads, buffalo head, a teal, and 2 mallards. That was a pretty good hunt. So
that was a cool one. You guys scored on that one for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys were still 10,000 feet up.
I know. I'm still a little bitter about that.
Well, it wouldn't do the podcast justice if we didn't hit on dog training and talking about our dogs, us being the 3 dog guys from the Flyaway Collective. So let's go ahead and hear a little bit about Rocky and how his season went.
He ended up with 267 retrieves, and I know that there's some states where, I'm sure that people's dogs could get a lot more than that, just, because it's obviously not just my birds that I shoot, it's everybody that goes with me. So the more you hunt with, the more birds you kill, the more retrieves they're going to have. But it exceeded my expectations. I wanted to hit 200 retrieves for him this season, and he ended up getting 267, and that was obviously because the junior hunt helped a lot, and plus the last 3 weeks of the season we just did really good and hunted with 3 or 4 guys every time, so it just helped. And I don't know if next year, if I am going to try to say 300, I don't think I'll do that, because it's not always about the numbers. But I tell you what, one thing that his progression was this year was looking at the skies, always being alert. I mean, you want to retrieve, and the hand signals. I mean, when you feel like you have a connection and a remote control in your hand with your dog, it's a pretty incredible feeling. It even, as much as I loved the first season with Rocky, that's the second season was just like, it was just,
Yeah.
I just don't, I just don't see myself hunting without a dog. And it's not that it's wrong. I mean, I hunted for all my life without one, but to have the connection with the animal, and not even an animal, just a buddy, it turns into that. And it's like, I would not have it any other way. And it was so cool. And, then, I mean, he was parts of the season, he was jumping like in the toolies. I'm talking, he can't even walk them, and he was throwing his 90-pound body through them, bam, because his nose came in, his second-year-old dog, and his nose came in, and he knew that if he could smell it, he knew it was in there, and he was willing to do whatever it took. So just all those things, it was just priceless,
Yeah, definitely couldn't agree on that more. And as well, I mean, he definitely looked amazing in your video. So your training's all gone to good work, and he's looking great.
Let me say this too, because I can, if I'm not careful, I can be like this. And just to say this to cover the tracks of what I just said a second ago, I guess if I would have been a younger guy, let's say if I was 22, 23 years old, and I would have took Rocky back there, and he's a good dog and he's an awesome dog, but he goes back there and does what he did when we were in Kansas. As a 21, 22-year-old guy, I probably would have been embarrassed and mad and frustrated at Rocky because of my ego. But I was obviously mature enough and old enough to know, even though I'm not some dog trainer, that was an environment he hadn't been in, and there's nothing I could have did about it, and there's nothing he could do. Because, I mean, it was a little, I would say it was a little embarrassing that he ran back after that first deck when he busted through that ice and realized something wasn't normal, But I wasn't mad at him. Like, how could I get mad at him? I'm not going to let my ego get in the way of that. It's like he never experienced it, and I just ended up laughing at it. We all laughed at it. And, and I'd take no offense because, I mean, it was a new environment. And sure, even hunting with Josh from Outdoor Learning, he didn't, to me, in my opinion, he didn't do good at all. Like, he didn't do like he does here. And I'm just like, man, what is wrong with him? But, I know he was tired traveling, different environment. And it was like, it's one of those things where you start getting a little concerned. Like, these guys think I'm editing these videos so good to make Rocky look like he's so good. And really he's, worthless. And I guess that was in the back of my mind. Like, I don't know what to say there. I mean, what can I do? What can I say? I know what he's like, I know how good he is. It was just different.
Well, I don't know about you, but whenever Chief's chasing down a bird, I just hit the ×2 on the recording just to make him look a little faster.
Yeah. Yeah, he ain't gonna never.
I actually did have to do that on Izzy a couple times just because I wanted to show her bringing a bird back, but she was so Whoa, she would crawl back with those birds. There was a couple times I actually did speed it up, not to make it look better, just because like I want to see this,
Right.
but I don't want to watch it in that time. But as
You
far
sure
as
you're
Rocky
gonna have that
goes,
problem
guys,
with your dog now?
Yeah. Oh no, she is lightning. This my little one, but. I was super impressed. Even before that ice thing, I mean, I didn't think twice about that. Number one, Rocky was completely well behaved, the boat ride in, and I was so impressed. I've never had a dog, and this is my dog number 3 I have right now. But, I mean, you put Rocky on a stand, and we went 50 yards away, and that dog sat there and did what you said for 30, 40 minutes. And it was when I saw that I was like, okay, I'm going to do what I need to do to get my dog to do that. Because I can tell you that my previous 2 dogs would never have sat on a stand when I was out messing around 50 yards away. And so I was really impressed by that. And as far as the ice, I mean, you can tell when a dog is confused and doesn't have context for what's taking place. You know what I mean? It just throws them completely out of whack as far as that ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was bummed, and really I wasn't bummed because I was trying to impress you guys. I was just kind of bummed, like, this is going to be a good experience and opportunity for him, but I can tell he wasn't feeling his oats, so I didn't want to push him, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I can tell you.
All dogs have absolutely terrible off days. I remember Izzy's like 5th or 6th, maybe 7th season on the opener for Teal. She acted like she had never hunted before. She wasn't marking. She wasn't picking up birds. I mean, after the hunt, I was like, I don't even know who this dog is. I mean, and I know Jordan's had some problems with Chief, like not as bad as that extreme, but when he travels with Chief, Chief struggles too.
Yeah. No, I mean, my trips to Kansas this year were Chief's worst hunts, and I don't know. I mean, that's a question I definitely want to talk to a pro trainer about at some point. Because it's become to the point where it's not like he had an off day. It's like every time I travel on these long trips and I don't know what I'm doing, but he is just like he's not himself at all. Like it's like his drive is diminished to almost like nothing. And I don't know if it's like he's not sleeping. I've tried different things. Like I don't leave him in the kennel. I bring him in. I make sure I stop at hotels where he can come in. All different things, but I don't know what it is. But it's like. He's like super just worn out or doesn't want to hunt. And then I get to my normal hunts where we're hunting here local and he's got so much drive that he's jumping out and pulling his blind through the decoy. So it's like I get 2 extremes on it and I got to figure out what it is on those trips to kind of fix that.
Yeah. And I wonder, I'm going to ask Chris Aiken that too, because I wonder if there's nothing maybe you can do, like I don't know. Maybe there's not. Maybe there is. I don't know. But
how was the Rocky in Washington? Did you take him with you on that trip?
So you saying that, I just come to my mind too. So he was, he did really good. We did drive, and he was only in the kennel. He didn't have to fly and be separated and time change and all that stuff. So really, he acted pretty normal, and it wasn't as cold. There was no ice. It semi involved a little bit of the same scenario. But I will tell you this, Elliot, and this is when you talked about him sitting on a stand for 34 minutes as I'm away doing decoys and breaking ice and doing whatever. I did learn this year, something I would have to train opposite, and maybe something you can do with yours too, is that a dog stand. Okay, so he's been trained to sit on that dog stand and not get up until I say, whether it's in training or hunting. He does great on a dog stand. Now, what happened was when we were in Washington, and this has nothing to do with traveling, it's just bottom line, I had him sitting on the ground. He was on no dog stand. He was on no environment where he has a place. He would just be right by me. And what happened is he started breaking. And I cannot stand a dog that breaks. I literally, I will time up and they're done because I can't handle that. And that's not what I trained to be like. But I always trained him on a stand. So not having that specific place for him, I feel like if I would have put a little piece of plywood on the ground and told him to kennel, and he sat on that, I'll lay money down he wouldn't have left it. But because there was no specific spot for him, and that's part of me, that's really not on him, because he felt like there's no lockdown spot that I have to be. I'm just kind of free to roam. So the first day he did good, the second day he did good, but then he started realizing in his head, hey, I can just go when they shoot. And that really, I struggled with him for that, probably for a couple hunts after that, getting him back to where I wanted him. And I kind of had to put the gun down a few times to make sure he didn't do that.
When I was training Izzy, I trained her just on the ground. I didn't use a stand at all. But when we actually started hunting, we were in layout boats all the time. Sometimes we were standing in the water and she was in the layout boat, and sometimes we're actually in it. And probably her first couple of years, it was mostly hunting out of a boat. And as soon as we started hunting a few bank lines, it was exactly the same thing. I mean, out of anything where she had a little obstruction in front of her, she was rock steady solid. But you put her on a bank like that, and I had the exact same issue that you did with her breaking.
Yeah. So kind of while we're on the dogs, I know, Elliot, you kind of mentioned you wanted to talk about the dog stuff before we start. You got anything else you want to add to that, Elliot?
I do have a couple things. First of all, I'm just so excited about Georgie. I just want to share with you guys because, man, I've been working. Now, Titus, I know that you follow Chris Aiken, which is, I mean, we're using Freddie King, and I mean, they're buddies. It's the exact same training program. In fact, Freddie King filmed Chris Aiken's DVDs, is what Freddie said. Did you use Chris Aiken's DVDs in your training, or where were you getting your information from?
Yes. So, what's the gentleman that you guys, he's a dog trainer. He's a younger guy that you guys have had on a few times. What's his name again? What's that guy's
We've
name?
had on Chris Jobman, we've had Barton Ramsey, we've had on Freddie King, and we've had on the Lone Duck guy. What's his name?
Yeah, it's Lone Ducks. I know what you're talking about.
Yes. Okay, Lone Duck. So what happened was I seen one of his YouTube videos, and I emailed him and asked him, hey, do you know of anybody or any information or training material that I could get to train my own dog? And he said, yeah, absolutely. Look up Chris Aiken and buy his Duck Dog Basics Part 1. And so I said, thank you. Have a good one. I didn't know any of these guys at the time. So I went on Amazon, bought this. So, yes, all the training has been from Duck Dog Basics with Chris Aiken. And it's through Avery Sport Dog, they support them and Sport Dog and all those guys. But anyways, so I used that one. I said, okay, all I'm going to do is this first DVD, and that's it. I just want a dog to get my birds and come back. Well, we know how that all turns out. And I ended up thinking, man, that was not really that bad. I want to do some more. So then I bought Duck Dog Basics number 2. And then I went through that whole thing and got Rocky doing all those things. And then, of course, I ended up buying Part 3, and we basically finished out all 3 of those DVDs, and it's a 3-part series, and that's what I used. And I did it exactly how he said to do it. I did not veer, I did not deter off, and not because I know there's plenty, like you said, Freddie King, I think is super cool, dude, and Chris Jobman, all these guys, they all know each other too. Chris Aiken was telling me that a while back that he's good. I think he's good friends with both those guys. So
yeah, he is.
So I just stayed with him just to get through it. Now to add things on, I have pulled from other guys, just little training drills. That's from other guys. That was just me,
Yeah, well, the philosophy's identical. It's just going to be the fine details, I'm sure, between the 3 of them, Chris Jobman, Freddie King, and Chris Aiken. So you're probably familiar with the drills I've been working on. I was feeling a little bit, I don't know if I was discouraged, but coming out of hunting season, I was like, man, I know I'm behind where I should be just because all the video making and my work and everything. And so I got real serious about getting into Freddie's videos and hitting it every single day. And then once the season was over, and so I was working with her on the stand with place where she'd go up and sit, and she could pretty much sit when I wanted her to, and I'd throw the retrieve, and she was steady. But then I was trying to extend it to where she would go up to the stand from pretty much any place in any location, and then I could throw the dummy from anywhere, and she would stay in that fixed spot. And I wouldn't say she was struggling, but it just got to the point where she would do good one day, and the next day she just had so much energy that she'd jump off and come to me, and so I was like, I was feeling a little discouraged, and I'm like, because Freddie constantly says just a little bit. He has a certain saying, something about little steps every day get you to your eventual goal. That's not his words, but that's the meaning of it. And the last couple of days, man, she has just been really turning it on a phenomenal. And tonight, I mean, I told my wife, I was like, it's like I gave her the final and she passed 100%. I mean, she just completely, with flying colors, passed that portion. We're ready to move on to shock collar and force fetch. And, I mean, I've never had it. I mean, Izzy would sit and stay, and Izzy would heel. And I thought she would at the time. But once you really follow the basics by these guys every single day doing what they show, there is a big difference to a dog that kind of sits and kind of heels and a dog that sits and a dog that heels, you know what I mean? And I'm seeing it right now. I mean, she'll sit there in that stand and I can go 20 yards away, throw a dummy for her, and casually just walk over to her, and she's sitting there the whole time, and I can send her. And so I already see the level of obedience difference just using, I use the retrievertrainer.com. And the last dog, it's exciting. It's really, really exciting to see that next step of dog versus my last one. I'm just pumped up about it tonight because she just rocked it. Just rocked it.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
And
yeah.
when you gonna implement the e-collar?
I think I'm gonna buy it next week, and I'm right now. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for a paycheck to come in to pull out of. I've got money earmarked out of it, and so I'm a little worried because I know that Sportsman, the one you have, Jordan. I hope that 400 yards is a long enough distance, and I hope I don't regret getting a little bit higher. But I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get that Sportsman. What's it? The
425.
425.
I think so.
What do you have as far as e-collar, Titus?
I have the 820. Is it the 825?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's called the 825. But I'll tell you what, I think you could put your mind at ease, Elliot, because if I had to do it over again, I'd just get the 425, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I've been using.
Yeah.
Yep. And had no issues with that at all.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go ahead and get like $100 cheaper. And the people, I've had so many people say it's such a good collar. And Georgie she's really high drive. No, she's like the complete opposite of Rocky and Chief. I mean, she's like tiny, 9.5 months old, just tiny and lightning fast. And, but she's got all this like high drive, high energy, but she's not strong willed at all, but yet she's confident. And so from right now, I mean, I am very amateur as far as what I see from it, but I'm so excited.
I bet, man. You talking about just the differences and what the training. A lot of people are always emailing me and they're always messaging me, especially when I was still on Facebook and Instagram. It was really not bad, but it was bad as far as I was just tons of messages every day, and everybody's always wanting for you to confirm to them that you should do all of it. People are always wanting to leave out force fetch. They're wanting to leave out the e-collar. They're questioning this and that. And it's like, guys, you can do that, but it's just use me for an example. I was one of those guys that said I was just going to train him to go get a duck and come back or a goose and come back. But after I did all the things that exactly by the book that they said to do, I thought, I am so glad I did this because I would have so regretted this, or I would have not have realized what I left out of the training,
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, I think this is a good place to wrap it up. Definitely covered a lot of awesome topics there and good stuff on there. And as always, Titus, we really appreciate you coming on here. For you guys that don't follow him, his channel is over Mid-Valley Mercenaries over on YouTube, and then the MVM show on podcast. So definitely go check out his stuff. You won't regret it. Puts out top-notch quality content on both those platforms. But anything else you want to add on, Elliot?
Nope. I would just say, I knew who you were, Titus, before this year, but I didn't know you. And now after a whole year of hunting with you, talking with you on the phone, I'm just really, really glad that our paths have crossed and we're getting to know each other. We're in the Flyers Collective together. Just really impressed with everything you got going on, and you as a man as well. So certainly I'm a Titus MVM fan.
No, I really do appreciate that. And I know it's sometimes hard for us guys to be a little bit more sentimental, but I really do. I feel the same way, and I appreciate your words, Elliot and Jordan, you guys having me on, and just our friendships for real, because people probably don't know, but, we're constantly texting and talking on the phone, and just like you said, I feel the same way about you guys. I feel very fortunate to call you guys what I can say now as friends and not just acquaintances.
Awesome. The feelings mutual all around. So, but I think, let's go ahead and wrap this up. So, thanks everybody for tuning in for another episode. I'm Jordan from Duck Gun Chronicles, Titus from Mid Valley Mercenary, Elliot from Freelance Duck Hunting. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, live stream crew, thanks for tuning in for another one.